Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 1, Fresh Paint. The series premiere introduces 5 ambitious, eager rookie police officers joining Toronto's 15th Division. Led by second-generation cop Andy McNally, Missy Peregrine, the group quickly realizes that police academy training barely prepares them for the unpredictable, high-stakes realities of street-level policing. The episode opens as 5 brand-new rookies report for their very first shift at Division 15. Andy McNally, Missy Peregrine, daughter of a retired troubled ex-detective. Dov Epstein, Gregory Smith, an over-eager gun enthusiast. Gail Peck, Charlotte Sullivan, well-connected but cynical. Tracy Nash, Inuka Okuma, a single mother balancing her career and family life. Chris Diaz, Travis Milne, an earnest by-the-book patrol officer, paired with her experienced training officer, T.O., Oliver Shaw, Matt Gordon. Andy is dispatched to her first call, a shooting at a local rooming house used as a drug den. Upon arrival, they find a killed drug dealer and a young woman suffering from a life-threatening overdose. While aiding the victims, Andy spots a suspect fleeing down the alley. Determined to make an impression on her first day, Andy chases the suspect into a nearby building, tackles him, and triumphantly places him under arrest. However, her triumph instantly turns into humiliation when the suspect turns out to be Sam Swarek, Ben Bass, an undercover officer working out of 15th Division. By arresting him, Andy inadvertently blows his cover and ruins an 8-month-long undercover sting operation targeting a major drug syndicate. Eager to rectify her mistake and prove herself, Andy goes rogue while searching the surrounding neighborhood. She stumbles into a secluded building and comes face to face with the actual gunman, Martin Bentz, a distraught teenage boy holding a loaded weapon. Martin reveals he shot the drug dealer in a fit of rage after his sister overdosed on drugs purchased at the den. Instead of engaging in a shootout, Andy uses empathy and tactical communication to talk Martin down. She convinces him to hand over the gun safely, bringing the standoff to a peaceful resolution and taking him into custody without further bloodshed. Despite her severe initial blunder, Andy's quick thinking and natural de-escalation skills save a young man's life and secure the suspect. The premiere establishes the recurring central dynamic of the show, the undeniable chemistry and friction between Andy and Sam Swarek, alongside the emotional weight the rookies carry as they learn to navigate street justice. Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 2, Mercury Retrograde. Following her chaotic first day on the job in the series premiere, Andy McNally is desperate to prove she belongs at 15th Division. When a routine assignment to locate a missing informant turns into a dangerous manhunt through Toronto's underground, Andy must team up with undercover detective Sam Swarek, setting off a high-stakes investigation that tests both her instincts and her ability to work under immense pressure. The shift starts with the rookies handling minor, mundane calls across the city to build basic field experience. Andy McNally, Missy Peregrine, is paired up with her training officer, Oliver Shaw, Matt Gordon. Meanwhile, Tracy Nash, Inuka Okuma, works with Detective Jerry Barber, and Dov Epstein, Gregory Smith, struggles with the boredom of routine traffic enforcement. The day takes a dramatic turn when an essential confidential informant, Faisal, fails to meet with his handler, Detective Sam Swarek, Ben Bass. Faisal holds crucial evidence against a violent drug cartel, and his sudden disappearance signals that his cover may have been blown. Because Andy accidentally compromised Swarek's previous undercover operation in Episode 1, she volunteers to assist him in tracking down the informant to redeem herself. Navigating Toronto's seedier night spots, Andy and Sam trace Faisal's last known movements. The tension between the two officers is palpable. Sam views Andy as an over-eager, inexperienced legacy cop who acts on impulse, while Andy resents Sam's cynical rule-breaking attitude. However, as they dig deeper, Sam recognizes Andy's sharp observational skills and quick reflexes. Andy and Sam locate Faisal held hostage inside an abandoned industrial site by heavily armed drug traffickers. Realizing backup will take too long to arrive and that Faisal's life is in immediate danger, they execute a risky breach. A chaotic gunfight and foot chase ensue through the dimly lit facility. Andy is forced to make split-second tactical decisions under live fire, successfully covering Sam as he neutralizes the gunman and rescues the wounded informant. Chris Diaz, Travis Milne, and Gail Peck, Charlotte Sullivan, deal with a seemingly simple domestic dispute that escalates, forcing Gail to learn the value of patience rather than relying solely on departmental authority. Dov Epstein struggles with self-doubt after missing an obvious clue during a traffic stop, but gets reassurance from his fellow rookies at the local hangout bar, the Black Penny. Mercury Retrograde solidifies the core emotional spine of the series, the electric magnetic dynamic between Andy McNally and Sam Swarek. By facing lethal danger together and successfully pulling off the rescue, Sam earns a newfound respect for Andy's courage, while Andy proves to herself and her division that she has what it takes to survive on the streets. Recap: Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 3, Fighting Back. Act 1, The Shift begins. The rookies of Division 15 face another intense shift on the streets of Toronto. Andy McNally and her training officer, Luke Callahan, are assigned to investigate a series of violent home invasions targeting wealthy neighborhoods. The suspects act with brutal efficiency, leaving victims traumatized and terrorized in their own homes. Meanwhile, rookie Chris Diaz and his senior officer Oliver Shaw handle a domestic dispute that quickly escalates, forcing Chris to make a split-second decision under intense pressure. Act 2, A Dangerous Lead. Andy and Luke track down a lead that points to a local security installation crew who had access to all the targeted homes. While inspecting a suspect's apartment, Andy discovers a hidden cache of stolen high-end electronics and jewelry, confirming their suspicions. However, the case takes a dark turn when the main suspect realizes the police are closing in. In a desperate attempt to evade arrest, he takes a young woman hostage inside a suburban residence, triggering a high-stakes standoff. Act 3, The Standoff. With backup surrounding the perimeter, Andy finds herself separated from Luke inside the house. Relying on her instincts rather than waiting for SWAT, she engages the armed suspect in a tense verbal confrontation to protect the hostage. When the suspect panics and raises his weapon, Andy executes a tactical disarm, tackling him through a glass coffee table. After a chaotic struggle, she secures the suspect just as Luke breaches the room. Act 4, Lessons Learned. Back at 15 Division, Andy faces a stern reprimand from Staff Sergeant Best for breaching protocol, balanced by quiet praise from Luke for her bravery and quick thinking. Over drinks at the local officer pub, the rookies debrief their brutal day, coming to terms with the psychological toll of police work and leaning on each other as a true family. Episode Recap: Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 4, Signals Crossing. Act 1, Heatwave and High Tension. A suffocating heatwave hits Toronto, driving crime rates up across Division 15's jurisdiction. Rookie Andy McNally is paired with her veteran training officer, Tracy Nash, for their first official shift together on patrol. Their day escalates rapidly when a routine disturbance call leads them to an undercover narcotics sting operation gone wrong inside an abandoned industrial warehouse. Meanwhile, rookie Dov Epstein and his senior officer Oliver Shaw respond to a series of heat-induced street brawls, testing Dov's ability to de-escalate volatile situations without relying solely on force. Act 2, Deep Undercover Threat. Inside the warehouse, Andy and Tracy discover a wounded undercover officer trapped by an armed drug ring. With backup minutes away due to citywide traffic gridlock, the two female officers must rely on stealth and tactical communication to clear the perimeter without blowing their cover or escalating the hostage situation. Andy manages to slip through a high window to secure the rear exit, while Tracy distracts the primary gunman using psychological negotiation tactics to buy critical time. Act 3, The Breaching Point. As heat and frustration reach a boiling point, one of the armed suspects panics and draws his weapon on the wounded officer. Andy executes a surprise breach from behind a stack of crates, tackling the suspect to the concrete floor and disarming him in a swift, violent struggle. Tracy secures the second gunman at gunpoint, neutralizing the threat just as SWAT and Division 15 backup units flood the building. Act 4, Bonds tested. Back at Division 15, Staff Sergeant Best acknowledges the rookie's quick thinking under extreme heat and pressure. Tracy and Andy celebrate their successful partnership, realizing that despite their differences, they form an unbeatable team. At the local pub, the squad cools down over cold drinks, reflecting on the fine line between following protocol and trusting their instincts on the firing line. Recap: Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 5, Broad Daylight. Act 1, A Disturbance in Broad Daylight. Rookie Andy McNally and her senior training officer, Luke Callahan, respond to what appears to be a routine break-in call at an upscale residential neighborhood. However, the situation takes an immediate turn when they arrive to find an ongoing home invasion in progress. The perpetrator, a desperate home intruder, panics upon seeing the police car and barricades himself inside the house, taking the wealthy homeowner hostage. Simultaneously, rookies Dov Epstein and Gail Peck are assigned to process a series of petty theft cases, leading to a clash of personalities as Dov tries to prove his tactical worth, while Gail sticks strictly to protocol. Act 2, The High-Stakes Standoff. Inside the residence, the suspect grows increasingly volatile, threatening the homeowner at gunpoint. With Division 15 establishing a perimeter outside, Andy is forced to take the lead in verbal de-escalation while Luke maneuvers around the back of the property to locate an entry point. Using her empathy and quick instincts, Andy initiates dialogue with the suspect through a broken living room window, trying to calm his rising desperation before tactical units arrive and escalate the confrontation to lethal force. Act 3, Tactical Breach. As negotiations stall and the armed suspect becomes unpredictable, Luke signals Andy for a coordinated strike. Andy creates a sudden vocal distraction from the front entrance, drawing the suspect's attention away from his hostage. Luke breaches the rear patio door and Andy charges through the front entry. Together, they overwhelm the suspect in a fast-paced physical tackle, disarming his handgun and securing the victim unharmed, just as tactical backup floods the room. Act 4, Emotional Aftermath. Back at the station, Staff Sergeant Best acknowledges Andy's bravery, but reminds her of the fine line between calculated risk and recklessness on the job. At the local officer pub, the rookies gather to unwind after a harrowing shift. Andy and Luke share an undeniable moment of personal connection, while the entire rookie crew reflects on the emotional weight of protecting lives when every second counts. Episode recap: Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 6, In School. Act 1, High School Undercover. The rookies of Division 15 face an unusual assignment when a routine traffic stop uncovers a sophisticated high school drug trafficking operation. Rookie Andy McNally and her senior officer Luke Callahan are tasked with leading the investigation inside a prestigious local high school. To blend in and gather intelligence without alerting the student body, Andy goes undercover inside the school hallway. Meanwhile, rookies Dov Epstein and Chris Diaz handle the impounded vehicle from the initial arrest, attempting to track the digital supply chain behind the distribution network. Act 2, Uncovering the Syndicate. Inside the school, Andy observes the complex social hierarchy and quickly identifies a vulnerable student being coerced into acting as a courier for an aggressive teenage dealer. Realizing the threats extend beyond the school gates to an organized adult criminal ring, Andy builds trust with the student to uncover the stash location. However, the operation hits a snag when the young courier panics, suspecting police presence, and attempts to flush the critical evidence down a locker room facility. Act 3, The Hallway Confrontation. Andy intervenes just as the teenage dealer corners the courier in an isolated stairwell. Dropping her cover, Andy uses her tactical training to restrain the armed dealer and secure the narcotics before a violent outbreak occurs. Simultaneously, Luke and the outer perimeter units intercept the adult supplier arriving on campus grounds, executing a swift high-stakes arrest in the school parking lot. Act 4, Lessons Beyond the Classroom. With the ring dismantled, Division 15 closes the case. Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy for her emotional intelligence and adaptability undercover. Gathering at the local officer pub, the rookies reflect on how easily young lives can be derailed by bad choices. strengthening their resolve and unity as a team. Episode recap: Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 7, Hot and Bothered. Act 1, Heat Wave Escalate. An oppressive heat wave sweeps through Toronto, causing power outages, rising tempers, and a massive surge in emergency calls for Division 15. Rookie Andy McNally and her training officer Luke Callahan respond to a frantic call regarding a missing teenage girl last seen near a local park. As the heat intensifies, the clock ticks against them. The initial investigation reveals troubling evidence. The girl's abandoned bicycle and personal belongings are found near a secluded wooded trail, pointing to an abduction. Act 2, Race Against Time. Division 15 launches a full-scale search operation across the district. Andy and Luke interview local residents and business owners, following a trail of CCTV footage that identifies a prime suspect, a local handyman with a history of suspicious behavior. Meanwhile, rookies Dove Epstein and Chris Diaz deal with rolling blackouts that trigger widespread traffic gridlock and store alarms, keeping the rest of the unit stretched to its absolute limit while Andy pursues the lead. Act 3, The Forest Confrontation. Andy tracks the suspect to an abandoned industrial facility on the edge of the woods. Separated from Luke during the search inside the vast, sweltered complex, Andy locates the missing teenager bound and terrified in a basement room. Before she can free the victim, the armed suspect ambushes Andy from the shadows. Utilizing her hand-to-hand combat training, Andy fights off the attacker in an intense struggle, disarming his weapon and securing him in handcuffs just as Luke and backup reach the facility. Act 4, Emotional Toll. With the victim safely reunited with her family and the suspect in custody, Division 15 breathes a collective sigh of relief. Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy for her unwavering determination under brutal environmental and physical conditions. At the local officer pub, the rookies gather to cool down, reflecting on the heavy responsibility of saving lives when every second counts. Episode recap: Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 8, Girlfriend or Wife. Act 1, A Routine. Stop escalates. The shift starts like any other for rookie Andy McNally and her training officer, Luke Callahan. During a routine traffic stop on a speeding luxury sedan, Andy notices the male driver acting overly defensive while his female passenger appears visibly terrified. Trusting her gut instinct, Andy presses further, discovering that the woman is secretly signaling for help under the dashboard. Before Luke can fully step in, the driver guns the accelerator, sparking a high-speed vehicle pursuit through the crowded streets of downtown Toronto. Act 2, Deepening Mystery. After forcing the suspect's car to a halt in an alleyway, the driver flees on foot, leaving the traumatized woman behind. At Division 15, the rookies uncover a dangerous truth. The woman is caught in a high-stakes domestic abuse and extortion ring involving a dangerous local mob boss. Meanwhile, rookie Chris Diaz and his senior officer Oliver Shaw investigate a series of commercial burglaries, uncovering a connection that leads straight back to the same crime syndicate, putting Division 15 on high alert. Act 3, Tactical Interception. Andy tracks the fleeing suspect to an underground parking garage where he attempts to force the victim into a secondary getaway vehicle. Refusing to wait for SWAT backup, Andy and Luke breach the lower level with sidearms raised. A tense confrontation breaks out as the suspect draws a weapon. Andy executes a swift flank maneuver, distracting the gunman while Luke tackles him to the concrete floor, disarming the suspect and securing the victim unharmed. Act 4, Personal Boundaries. With the syndicate dismantled, Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy for her sharp observation skills during the initial stop. At the local pub, the rookies unwind from the intense shift. As personal lines blur between Andy and Luke, the team reflects on the dangerous realities of police work and the critical importance of trusting their instincts when lives hang in the balance. Episode recap: Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 9, Bullet or Bowl. Act 1, high-stakes traffic operation. The shift begins with Division 15 launching a massive citywide traffic check stop operation aimed at cracking down on drunk drivers and illegal contraband. Rookie Andy McNally and her training officer, Luke Callahan, pull over a suspicious driver whose nervous behavior triggers immediate red flags. Upon inspecting the vehicle's interior, Andy uncovers a hidden compartment beneath the rear seats packed with illegal automatic firearms, pulling Division 15 straight into an active underground weapons trafficking investigation. Act 2, tracking the syndicate. The arrested driver agrees to cooperate, leading Luke and Andy into a high-risk undercover operation to track the supply chain back to a ruthless local crime boss. Meanwhile, rookies Dov Epstein and Chris Diaz handle a secondary emergency when a domestic violence call escalates into an active barricade situation in a residential neighborhood. As Dov tries to de-escalate the hostile suspect through a locked front door, he is forced to make split-second tactical decisions to protect innocent family members trapped inside. Act 3, ambush in the warehouse. Andy and Luke follow the illegal weapons trail to a secluded industrial dockyard warehouse where a major arms deal is going down. With backup delayed by heavy city traffic, the team attempts to maintain covert surveillance from the shadows. However, the syndicate members spot the officers opening heavy fire. In the ensuing chaotic gunfight, Andy executes a tactical flank maneuver under suppressive fire, disarming the primary gunrunner and securing the weapon stockpile just as SWAT backup floods the warehouse. Act 4, the weight of the badge. With the weapons syndicate successfully dismantled and the barricade hostage situation resolved safely by Dov and Chris, Division 15 closes another violent shift. At the local officer pub, the rookies gather to process the sheer adrenaline and danger of the day. The team shares cold drinks and quiet moments of solidarity, realizing how thin the line is between life and death on the streets of Toronto. Episode recap: Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 10, Big Heat. Act 1, high-stakes warrants. The shift at Division 15 begins under high pressure as Staff Sergeant Best initiates a massive precinct-wide sting operation to execute outstanding high-risk warrants. Rookie Andy McNally and her training officer Luke Callaghan are assigned to track down an elusive ringleader connected to a series of violent armed robberies. Meanwhile, rookies Dov Epstein and Gail Peck handle tactical perimeter control, but tensions rise as the high-stress environment tests the rookies' confidence and communication skills on the front lines. Act 2, trap in the complex. Andy and Luke track their suspect to a labyrinthine apartment complex in a high-crime neighborhood. While conducting room-to-room checks, Andy notices signs of a forced entry at a quiet residence. Trusting her instincts, she enters to investigate, only to discover the suspect and his armed associates lying in wait. Before Luke can reach her position, the suspects bolt through the building's fire escape, triggering a chaotic foot pursuit through narrow alleys and crowded urban rooftops. Act 3, Rooftop Showdown. Andy pursues the primary suspect across a high-rise rooftop. Separated from backup, she corners the gunman near the ledge. The suspect, desperate to avoid a life sentence, draws a firearm and refuses to surrender. Relying on her tactical training and psychological composure, Andy de-escalates the situation while closing the distance. When the suspect moves to raise his weapon, Andy executes a swift physical takedown, disarming him just inches from the building's edge as Luke and tactical units breach the roof. Act 4, Emotional Reckoning. With the high-risk warrant executed and the suspect safely in custody, Division 15 celebrates a major victory. Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy for her exceptional bravery and field instincts under life-threatening conditions. At the local pub, the rookies unwind after the brutal shift. Surrounded by her fellow officers, Andy reflects on her growth from a hesitant rookie to a battle-tested officer capable of holding the line when everything is on the line. Episode recap: Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 11, To Serve or Protect. Act 1, a high-profile trial. The tension at Division 15 reaches a boiling point as rookie Andy McNally is called to testify in a high-profile murder trial stemming from one of her early arrests. With defense attorneys ready to tear apart any rookie mistake, Andy feels the crushing pressure of protecting the victim's memory while maintaining bulletproof professional composure on the witness stand. Meanwhile, rookies Chris Diaz and Dove Epstein respond to a seemingly routine noise complaint at an apartment complex, only to stumble upon an active hostage situation involving a heavily armed suspect. Act 2, Under the Spotlight. Inside the courtroom, Andy faces ruthless cross-examination. The defense attempts to paint her actions as reckless and inexperienced, shaking her confidence. Outside the courtroom, Detective Luke Callahan offers quiet encouragement, reminding Andy to trust her training and stay grounded in the facts. Simultaneously, at the apartment complex, Chris and Dove find themselves trapped in a narrow hallway with a barricaded gunman holding an innocent family at gunpoint, forcing them to hold the line until backup arrives. Act 3, Tactical Precision. While Andy recovers her footing on the stand and delivers crucial, unshakable testimony that seals the prosecution's case, Chris and Dove initiate a breach protocol. When the gunman panics and moves toward a window with a hostage, Chris creates a tactical distraction while Dove tackles the suspect through a wooden doorway, disarming him in a violent struggle and securing the family without a single shot fired. Act 4, Justice Delivered. With the murder conviction secured in court and the barricade situation resolved safely, Division 15 chalks up another hard-won victory. Staff Sergeant Best praises the rookies for showing veteran-level poise under extraordinary legal and physical pressure. At the local pub, the squad gathers to raise a glass to Andy, celebrating their unbreakable bond as brothers and sisters in blue. Episode Recap, Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 12, In Service. Act 1, High Stakes Escort. The shift begins with maximum security at Division 15 as the squad is assigned to protect a high-profile key witness testifying against a notorious local crime syndicate. Rookie Andy McNally and her training officer Luke Callaghan lead the transport team responsible for moving the witness safely from a secure safe house to the federal courthouse. Meanwhile, rookies Dove Epstein and Gail Peck handle outer perimeter security, monitoring nearby traffic and suspect communications to ensure no leak compromises the witness's route. Act 2, Ambush on the route. The routine transport turns deadly when the convoy is ambushed in a quiet industrial district. Armed gunmen in black SUVs ram the lead vehicle and open heavy fire, pinning down Andy, Luke, and the witness. Realizing the route was leaked by an insider, Luke calls for immediate emergency backup, while Andy returns fire from behind the transport vehicle. With enemy forces closing in, Andy makes a split-second decision to move the terrified witness through an adjacent multi-level parking structure to evade the incoming gunfire. Act 3, The Parking Garage Battle. Inside the dim parking structure, Andy maneuvers the witness through a maze of vehicles while relentless hitmen hunt them floor by floor. Separated from Luke during the chaotic breach, Andy relies on tactical stealth and quick reflexes to eliminate immediate threats. When the lead assassin corners them near the top ramp, Andy executes a tactical flank maneuver, neutralizing the gunman in an intense shootout just as Luke, Dove, and tactical backup units breach the floor to secure the area. Act 4, Unmasking the Leak. With the witness delivered safely to court and the hitman neutralized, Division 15 uncovers the internal leak that compromised the transport, closing the case with major commendations. At the local officer pub, the rookies unwind after one of their most dangerous shifts yet. Sipping cold beers together, the team reflects on trust, loyalty, and the tight-knit bond that keeps them alive on the front lines. Episode Recap, Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 13, Takedown. Act 1, Season Finale High Stakes. It is the ultimate test for Division 15's rookie class as their first year on the force culminates in a massive high-risk undercover drug bust. Rookie Andy McNally goes deep undercover inside a dangerous narcotics ring to seal the deal on a major cartel boss. However, the operation spirally detours when Andy's cover is suddenly compromised inside a secluded warehouse. The cartel boss realizes police are closing in, taking Andy hostage at gunpoint as the building goes into complete lockdown. Act 2. Tactical Lockdown. With Andy trapped inside and communications severed, Detective Luke Callahan and Officer Sam Swarek lead an emergency perimeter response. Tensions explode between Luke and Sam over tactical priorities, but both veterans must push personal rivalries aside to orchestrate a high-stakes breach. Inside the warehouse, Andy relies on her emotional resilience and tactical training to delay her captors, feeding false intelligence to the cartel leader to buy critical minutes for the tactical team outside. Act 3. The Explosive Breach. As the cartel prepares to execute Andy and flee through a rear exit, SWAT and Division 15 units initiate a synchronized tactical breach. Flashbangs detonate, shattering the warehouse windows and throwing the room into violent chaos. Andy seizes the moment, executing a combat takedown on her primary captor. She disarms him in a vicious struggle on the concrete floor as Sam and Luke burst into the room with sidearms raised, neutralizing the remaining armed enforcers and securing the scene. Act 4. Survival and New Horizons. With the cartel dismantled and Andy rescued, Division 15 celebrates the survival and official rite of passage for their rookie officers. Having survived their treacherous first year, Andy, Dove, Chris, Gale, and Tracy stand united. No longer raw recruits, but battle-tested police officers. At the local pub, the squad raises a final toast to their survival, setting the stage for an explosive future on the streets of Toronto. Episode recap: Rookie Blue, Season 2, Episode 1, Butterflies. Act 1, Season Premiere Pressure. The rookies of Division 15 return for their second year on the force, no longer complete novices but facing higher expectations and tougher streets. The shift kicks off with high drama when a routine disturbance call leads Andy McNally and her training partner, Detective Luke Callahan, directly into a high-stakes hostage situation inside a local residential neighborhood. An unstable, heavily armed suspect barricades himself inside a house with an innocent family, throwing Division 15 into an immediate high-pressure tactical standoff. Act 2. Tense Negotiations. As Staff Sergeant Best establishes a command perimeter outside, Andy attempts to open a direct line of communication with the erratic gunman through a broken window. Relying on her sharp emotional intelligence, Andy attempts to de-escalate the suspect's paranoia, while tactical units position themselves for a breaching strike. Meanwhile, rookies Dove Epstein and Chris Diaz handle crowd control and perimeter defense, facing angry onlookers and media crews pushing against police tape. Act 3. The High-Risk Breach. When the suspect panics and cuts off dialogue, threatening to shoot the hostages, the command team greenlights an immediate tactical breach. SWAT and Division 15 officers detonate flashbangs, flooding the residence with smoke and loud disorientation charges. Andy and Luke burst through the front entrance. In a violent split-second struggle, Andy tackles the gunman away from a terrified child, disarming his weapon on the living room floor while Luke secures the remaining suspect. Act 4. New Dynamics. With the hostages saved and the suspect under arrest, Division 15 celebrates a flawless season opener. However, underlying personal tensions and shifting romantic dynamics begin to surface among the crew as they step into their second year. At the local pub, the rookies gather to toast their survival and growth, knowing the road ahead as second-year officers will test them harder than ever before. Episode recap: Rookie Blue, Season 2, Episode 2, Might Have Been. Act 1. A cold case resurfaces. The shift at Division 15 takes an intense personal turn for rookie Andy McNally. While assisting Detective Luke Callahan on a routine property investigation, new forensic evidence unexpectedly links an unsolved cold case murder from years past back to Andy's estranged father, Tommy McNally, a former police detective with a troubled history of alcoholism. Determined to uncover the truth and clear her family name, Andy insists on remaining involved in the investigation, forcing Luke to balance his professional duty with his romantic feelings for Andy. Act 2, Digging Up the Past. As Division 15 re-examines the cold case files, Andy tracks down her father's former police informants and old contacts across Toronto's rougher districts. Meanwhile, rookies Dov Epstein and Chris Diaz handle perimeter security during a high-stakes drug raid, where Dov's over-eager tactical decisions put both officers in the crosshairs of an armed suspect. Back at the precinct, Internal Affairs begins taking an interest in Tommy McNally's old case logs, escalating the psychological pressure on Andy as she races to find the real culprit before her father is formally implicated. Act 3, The Showdown in the Alley. Andy and Luke follow a crucial lead to an abandoned warehouse district, confronting a dangerous former associate of Tommy's who holds the missing piece of the puzzle. The suspect attempts to flee, leading to a tense foot chase through narrow alleyways. Cornered near a loading dock, the armed suspect draws a concealed firearm. Andy executes a swift flank maneuver, using her tactical training to disarm the attacker in a violent physical struggle, securing the critical murder weapon that fully exonerates her father. Act 4, Emotional Reckoning. With the real killer in custody and Tommy's name officially cleared, Andy experiences a wave of emotional relief mixed with unresolved family trauma. Staff Sergeant Best acknowledges Andy's exceptional composure under immense personal strain. At the local officer pub, the rookies gather to support Andy. As she shares a quiet moment with Luke, the team reflects on the heavy burdens of the past and the complicated nature of family loyalty. Episode Recap, Rookie Blue, Season 2, Episode 3, Bad Moon Rising. Act 1, Shift Under the Full Moon. Superstition and chaos hit Division 15 as a full moon rises over Toronto, bringing an unprecedented wave of strange and erratic crime calls. Rookie Andy McNally and her senior training officer, Luke Callaghan, respond to a violent disturbance at a local diner, only to find themselves investigating the sudden disappearance of a young woman connected to a high-stakes missing persons report. Simultaneously, rookies Dov Epstein and Gail Peck handle a series of bizarre vandalism incidents, keeping the precinct operating at absolute capacity. Act 2, A Race Against Darkness. As the investigation deepens, Andy and Luke discover disturbing clues indicating the missing woman was abducted by an unstable, obsessive stalker. With night falling and the clock ticking, Andy relies on her sharp instincts to reconstruct the victim's final steps through CCTV footage and abandoned personal items recovered from an alleyway. Meanwhile, rookie Chris Diaz and senior officer Oliver Shaw track a lead on the suspect's vehicle, resulting in a high-speed pursuit through crowded downtown streets during the chaotic night shift. Act 3, The Warehouse Standoff. Andy and Luke pinpoint the stalker's hideout to a dimly lit, multi-story industrial warehouse on the outskirts of the district. Moving stealthily through the dark facility, Andy locates the terrified victim bound in a secluded upper room. Before they can extract her, the armed suspect ambushes them from the shadows. In the ensuing physical struggle, Andy executes a tactical takedown, disarming the suspect and securing his hands in cuffs just as Luke breaches the room with additional squad units. Act 4, Night's End. With the victim safely rescued and the suspect in custody, Division 15 brings a chaotic full moon shift to a close. Staff Sergeant Best acknowledges Andy's exceptional composure under intense psychological pressure. At the local pub, the rookies unwind from the wild shift, clinking glasses and reflecting on the unpredictable nature of street duty when chaos reigns supreme. Episode Recap, Rookie Blue, Season 2, Episode 4, Heart and Sparks. Act 1, Arson in the District. A string of suspicious fires rocks the neighborhood, pushing Division 15 into high alert. Rookie Andy McNally and her training officer Luke Callaghan arrive at the scene of a burning residential building. While assisting firefighters with crowd control and evacuation, Andy spots a suspicious observer watching the flames from across the street. Before the suspect can disappear into the fleeing crowd, Andy and Luke pursue him, pulling Division 15 into a complex arson investigation that threatens to ignite the entire community. Act 2. Tracking the arsonist. As forensics confirm the fire was intentionally set using complex accelerants, Andy interviews local business owners who have been receiving cryptic extortion threats. Meanwhile, rookies Dov Epstein and Gail Peck handle tactical search warrants, uncovering a hidden stash of incendiary devices and blueprint maps targeting commercial sites. Back at the precinct, the pressure mounts as the arsonist sends a chilling warning, promising a larger explosion at a crowded downtown center before the end of the shift. Act 3. The Boiler Room Standoff. Andy and Luke pinpoint the final target, an old community center basement housing a central gas line. Moving quickly through the smoke-filled lower levels, Andy corners the volatile suspect just as he prepares to ignite the main line with an open flame. Relying on her tactical composure, Andy engages the suspect in a tense verbal standoff, closing the distance while Luke flanks from behind. When the suspect reaches to strike the match, Andy executes a swift tackle, forcing the accelerant away and disarming him on the concrete floor just seconds before ignition. Act 4. Aftermath and Unity. With the arsonist in cuffs and the building secured, fire crews clear the scene. Staff Sergeant Best praises Andy for her quick thinking and field instincts under life-threatening conditions. At the local officer pub, the rookies gather to decompress from the adrenaline-filled shift. Clinking cold beers together, the crew reflects on the thin line between chaos and safety on the front lines of Division 15. Episode Recap Rookie Blue, Season 2, Episode 5, Brotherhood. Act 1, Tensions in the Community. The shift begins with palpable tension across Division 15 as a series of targeted assaults against local business owners threatens to spark a turf war. Rookie Andy McNally and her senior training officer, Luke Callahan, respond to an emergency call at a neighborhood convenience store, finding the shopkeeper brutally beaten by a masked street crew. Meanwhile, rookie Chris Diaz faces a deeply personal conflict when his younger brother gets pulled into the orbit of the suspect crew, testing Chris's loyalty between his family and his sworn oath to Division 15. Act 2. A Fractured Brotherhood. As Detective Luke Callahan coordinates the investigation, Andy discovers that the neighborhood assault ring operates through a tight-knit network of intimidation. Chris attempts to intervene independently to pull his brother out of danger before internal affairs gets involved, putting his career on the line. Andy notices Chris's erratic behavior during squad patrols and offers her support, urging him not to jeopardize his badge while they track down the gang's primary ringleader. Act 3. Tactical Interception. Andy, Luke, and Chris track the crew to an abandoned auto body shop where a major intimidation payoff is taking place. Refusing to let his brother cross the point of no return, Chris charges inside with Andy and Luke covering his flank. A violent melee breaks out as the suspects draw concealed weapons. Andy executes a swift tactical flank, disarming the primary assailant while Chris tackles the gang leader to the concrete floor, securing the perimeter just as backup squad cars arrive on scene. Act 4. The Price of Loyalty. With the violent crew behind bars and Chris's brother safely cleared of direct criminal charges, Division 15 breathes a sigh of relief. Staff Sergeant Best acknowledges the rookies' bravery, reminding them that true brotherhood means holding each other accountable on both sides of the law. At the local officer pub, the rookies gather to support Chris over cold drinks, reflecting on the heavy personal sacrifices required to wear the badge. Episode Recap Rookie Blue, Season 2, Episode 6, In Plain Sight. Act 1, Hidden Predators. The shift at Division 15 kicks off with high alertness, after a routine traffic stop uncovers a hidden compartment filled with counterfeit IDs and high-tech surveillance gear. Rookie Andy McNally and her training officer Luke Callaghan lead the investigation, realizing they are dealing with a sophisticated human trafficking ring operating right under the city's nose. Meanwhile, rookies Dov Epstein and Gail Peck tackle a residential burglary call that unexpectedly intersects with Andy's case, revealing that the traffickers have been targeting vulnerable victims across multiple districts. Act 2. Deep Surveillance. As Division 15 pieces together the network, Andy goes undercover at a local transit hub to identify the ring's primary recruiter. Navigating the crowded terminal, Andy establishes contact with a suspicious contact while Luke and Detective Sam Swarek monitor the feed from a nearby surveillance vehicle. Tension spikes when the suspect detects police presence and attempts to bolt into the crowded subway system, taking a young woman hostage as a human shield to secure his getaway. Act 3. Subway Standoff. Andy pursues the suspect into the narrow, dimly lit subterranean train tunnels. Separated from immediate backup, she corners the armed trafficker near an active track platform. With noise echoing and lights flashing from an approaching train, Andy uses her tactical training and precise verbal de-escalation to keep the suspect focused on her. Spotting a split-second opening, Andy executes a dynamic tackle, disarming the suspect and pulling the hostage to safety just as Luke and SWAT breach the platform. Act 4. Unmasking the Truth. With the trafficking ring dismantled and the victim secured, Division 15 scores a major victory against organized crime. Staff Sergeant Best praises Andy for her quick reflexes and tactical courage under extreme pressure. At the local officer pub, the rookie squad gathers to celebrate their survival. Sharing cold drinks and quiet toasts, the team reflects on the hidden danger surrounding them every day and the unbreakable bond that keeps them safe. Episode recap: Rookie Blue, Season 2, Episode 7, The Suburbia. Act 1. Suburbs Under Siege. The shift at Division 15 takes an unexpected turn when a series of violent home invasions rocks a quiet, gated suburban community. Rookie Andy McNally and her training officer, Luke Callahan, respond to a panic alarm, arriving to find a traumatized family locked inside their own panic room while heavily armed suspects ransack the residence. Meanwhile, rookies Dov Epstein and Gail Peck manage neighborhood surveillance, quickly realizing that the perpetrators are using stolen utility vans to blend seamlessly into the quiet suburban backdrop. Act 2. A Dangerous Pattern. As Division 15 processes the crime scene, Andy notices that the home intruders possess intricate knowledge of the neighborhood security layouts and family schedules. The investigation points toward an inside job connected to a local home security installation contractor. With the suspects planning their next high-value target before leaving the district, Andy and Luke race against time to intercept the crew before another family is targeted under the cover of daylight. Act 3. The High-Stakes Interception. Andy and Luke track the suspect vehicle to a suburban residence currently undergoing renovations. Separated from outer backup units, Andy breaches the rear entrance as the heavily armed suspects attempt to force their way inside. Engaging the primary intruder in a tense standoff inside the kitchen, Andy uses tactical cover to draw his fire. When the suspect reaches for a secondary weapon, Andy executes a swift flank maneuver, tackling him to the floor and disarming him in an intense physical struggle just as Luke and SWAT breach the front entry. Act 4. Lessons Beyond the Fence. With the home invasion ring fully dismantled and the suburban neighborhood secured, Division 15 chalks up another decisive victory. Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy for her sharp observation skills and fearless tactical response. At the local officer pub, the rookies gather to decompress over cold beers, reflecting on how even the quietest neighborhoods can harbor dangerous threats and celebrating the trust that keeps them safe on the front lines. Welcome to my channel, Movies and TV Show Recap. Episode Recap, Rookie Blue, Season 2, Episode 8, Monster. Act 1, A Dark Discovery. The shift at Division 15 begins under intense strain, when a high-profile homicide investigation plunges the precinct into darkness. Rookie Andy McNally and her training officer Luke Callaghan arrive at a secluded urban crime scene after a young woman is found murdered in an abandoned alleyway. The violent modus operandi mirrors an active serial killer case, putting maximum pressure on Division 15 to locate the suspect before another victim disappears into the shadows. Act 2: Hunting the Phantom. As Detective Luke Callahan coordinates forensic operations with internal detectives, Andy pursues a fresh lead connecting the victim to a local nightlife establishment. Meanwhile, rookies Dov Epstein and Chris Diaz monitor high-risk locations, analyzing CCTV feeds to build a profile of the suspect's vehicle. Tension mounts within the squad when Andy realizes the killer is actively stalking his next target nearby. Ignoring protocol delays, she moves to secure the suspect's location before backup units complete their perimeter setup. Act 3: Industrial Hideout Showdown. Andy tracks the armed suspect into a pitch-black multi-story industrial warehouse on the outskirts of the district. Moving stealthily through narrow corridors with service weapon unholstered, she locates the trapped victim bound in a rear storage container. Before Andy can clear the room, the killer ambushes her from the darkness. In a brutal hand-to-hand struggle, Andy uses tactical combat maneuvers to disarm the attacker, tackling him to the concrete floor and securing him in handcuffs just as Luke and SWAT breach the building. Act 4: Facing the Darkness. With the killer apprehended and the victim safely rescued, Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy for her unwavering instincts and courage under severe, life-threatening conditions. At the local pub, the rookie squad gathers to decompress after one of their darkest shifts. Clinking cold beers, the team reflects on the heavy psychological toll of policing and the tight-knit loyalty that keeps them standing together. Welcome to my channel, Movies and TV Show Recap. Subscribe, thank you. Welcome to my channel, Movies and TV Show Recap. Episode Recap, Rookie Blue, Season 2, Episode 9, Brotherhood. Act 1, High Stakes Brotherhood. A routine shift at Division 15 escalates into an intense crisis when a high-stakes robbery hits a local diamond district. Rookie Andy McNally and her senior training officer, Luke Callahan, are among the first responders to arrive on scene, finding an armed heist crew attempting a bold getaway through heavy traffic. Meanwhile, rookie Chris Diaz finds himself pulled into a deep personal dilemma when his family obligations intersect directly with one of the primary suspects, placing his loyalty and his badge on the line. Act 2, Race Against Time. As Division 15 establishes a perimeter, Andy uncovers evidence that the heist was meticulously planned using insider security access. Working closely with Detective Luke Callahan, Andy tracks down a key informant hiding in a nearby commercial hub. Back at the station, Dov Epstein and Gail Peck process surveillance footage, discovering that the heist crew is preparing to exit the city before nightfall. The pressure mounts as the squad scrambles to intercept the crew before the stolen assets disappear forever. Act 3, The Commercial Complex Breach. Andy and Luke pinpoint the suspect's hideout to an under-construction commercial complex on the outskirts of the district. Moving stealthily through narrow utility halls, Andy locates the armed suspects preparing their secondary escape vehicle. When the lead robber draws a firearm on Luke, Andy executes a swift tactical flank maneuver. She tackles the armed suspect to the concrete floor, disarming him in a violent physical struggle just as backup units storm the building to secure the remaining crew. Act 4, Duty and Loyalty. With the robbery crew apprehended and the stolen property recovered, Division 15 closes another dangerous chapter. Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy and the rookie team for their sharp tactical coordination under pressure. At the local pub, the squad gather shows .S to decompress over cold beers, raising a glass to solidarity, brotherhood, and the unwavering bond that keeps them safe on the front lines. Welcome to my channel, Movies and TV Show Recap. Subscribe, thank goodness for you. Welcome to my channel, Movies and TV Show Recap. Episode Recap, Rookie Blue, Season 2, Episode 10, Best Laid Plans. Act 1. High-stakes transport. The shift at Division 15 kicks off with high security, as the precinct is tasked with transporting a dangerous, high-ranking cartel enforcer across city limits to a federal holding facility. Rookie Andy McNally and her senior training officer, Luke Callahan, lead the primary escort vehicle, maintaining extreme vigilance through heavy urban traffic. Meanwhile, rookies Dov Epstein and Gail Peck handle outer route security, sweeping intersections to prevent ambushes from rival gangs or cartel operatives. Act 2. The highway ambush. The routine transport takes a deadly turn when a heavily armored SUV rams the lead police cruiser on an isolated overpass, pinning Andy and Luke. Masked gunmen emerge, opening automatic fire to free the prisoner and eliminate the officers. With communications jammed and backup delayed, Andy and Luke draw their sidearms under heavy fire, using the damaged cruiser as tactical cover, while returning shots to protect the perimeter and keep the prisoner secured. Act 3. Overpass Showdown. Realizing the cartel enforcers are preparing to breach their position with explosive charges, Andy makes a bold tactical decision. She creates a flanking maneuver along the overpass concrete barrier, drawing enemy fire away from the trapped transport vehicle. As the lead gunman advances, Andy engages him in a high-tension shootout. Executing a swift physical tackle, she disarms the assailant on the pavement just as Dove, Gale, and SWAT backup breach the overpass, neutralizing the remaining crew. Act 4. Resilience Under Fire. With the ambush repelled, the cartel enforcer delivered safely to federal custody, and the suspects in cuffs, Division 15 celebrates a major victory against organized crime. Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy for her remarkable composure and bravery under heavy gunfire. At the local officer pub, the rookies gather to raise a glass over cold beers, celebrating their unbreakable trust and resilience on the front lines. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Subscribe, thank goodness for you. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Episode Recap, Rookie Blue, Season 2, Episode 11, The Deceptions. Act 1, High Stakes Sting. The shift to Division 15 starts with intense pressure as Staff Sergeant Best initiates an undercover sting operation targeting a widespread identity theft ring. Rookie Andy McNally and her training officer Luke Callahan go undercover in civilian attire at a high-end downtown hotel where the syndicate orchestrates fraudulent financial transactions. Meanwhile, rookies Dov Epstein and Gail Peck handle perimeter surveillance from an unmarked unit, monitoring suspect movements and communications across the district. Act 2. Compromise Cover. As Andy attempts to initiate contact with the ring's key handler, a sudden technical failure severs communications with the command van. Recognizing Andy from a previous precinct arrest, a suspicious suspect alerts the security team, immediately compromising her undercover identity. With backup unaware of the immediate danger inside, the syndicate locks down the floor. The lead suspect corners Andy, threatening violence unless she provides police access logs to clear their digital footprint. Act 3. Penthouse Showdown. Relying on her tactical training, Andy feeds the suspects delayed information to buy critical minutes, while quietly triggering a silent emergency beacon. Spotting the signal, Luke and Sam Swarek breach the hotel's upper floors. A violent struggle erupts in the penthouse hallway. Andy executes a swift physical takedown on her primary captor, disarming him on the floor just as Luke and Sam burst through the doors with sidearms drawn, neutralizing the remaining syndicate members. Act 4. Unmasking Deception. With the identity theft network completely dismantled and the suspects in custody, Division 15 celebrates another hard-fought victory. Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy for her remarkable composure under severe cover breakdown. At the local pub, the rookie squad gathers over cold beers to decompress, reflecting on the constant hazards of undercover duty and the tight-knit trust that keeps them alive. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Subscribe, thank goodness for you. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Episode recap: Rookie Blue, Season 2, Episode 12, On the Line. Act 1, a high-stakes disappearance. The shift at Division 15 starts in high gear when a routine missing persons report rapidly escalates into a precinct-wide crisis. Rookie Andy McNally and her senior training officer, Luke Callahan, lead the search for a young woman who vanished under highly suspicious circumstances following a heated argument at a local transit station. With time working against them, Staff Sergeant Best orders a full precinct sweep of the surrounding districts to trace the suspect before the trail goes cold. Act 2. Following the clues. As Division 15 digs into the victim's digital footprint, Andy recovers crucial CCTV footage showing a shadowy figure forcing the victim into an unmarked commercial van. Meanwhile, rookies Dove Epstein and Chris Diaz sweep nearby industrial properties, tracking down a secondary suspect tied to a violent local syndicate. Back at the station, personal tensions surface between Andy and Luke during the interrogation of a key witness, forcing Andy to maintain laser focus on the rescue operation amidst mounting psychological strain. Act 3. The Dockside Rescue. Andy and Luke track the suspect vehicle to an isolated waterfront warehouse on the edge of the district. Moving stealthily through dimly lit storage docks with sidearms unholstered, Andy locates the bound victim locked inside a shipping container. Before Andy can free her, the armed suspect ambushes them from behind a cargo crate. Executing a rapid tactical maneuver under fire, Andy draws the gunman's focus, allowing Luke to flank. Andy tackles the suspect to the concrete floor, disarming him in a fierce physical struggle to secure the scene. Act 4. Standing United. With the victim safely rescued and the suspect in cuffs, Division 15 celebrates another life-saving triumph. Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy for her sharp tactical instincts and unwavering bravery under extreme pressure. At the local pub, the rookie squad gathers over cold drinks to decompress, reflecting on the thin line between danger and survival, and celebrating the unbreakable trust that binds them together. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Subscribe, thank goodness for you. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Episode Recap, Rookie Blue, Season 2, Episode 13, God's Good Grace. Act 1, Season Finale Crisis. The Season 2 finale explodes into chaos when rookie Gail Peck vanishes while investigating an undercover narcotics lead, throwing Division 15 into maximum precinct-wide panic. Rookie Andy McNally, devastated by her squad mate's disappearance, joins Detective Sam Swarek and the rest of the unit in a desperate race against the clock to locate Gail before the abduction turns lethal. Every available officer is deployed, establishing roadblocks and launching aggressive sweeps across Toronto's industrial fringes. Act 2. Undercover Descent. As the investigation deepens, Andy and Sam trace Gail's last known radio transmission to a violent drug syndicate operating from an abandoned processing plant. Uncovering evidence that Gail was targeted specifically to send a message to the police force, Andy and Sam decide to breach the perimeter ahead of SWAT backup to prevent an immediate execution. Meanwhile, rookies Dove Epstein and Chris Diaz handle high-stress tactical perimeter locks, holding off escalating gang violence in the surrounding neighborhood. Act 3. The Warehouse Assault. Andy and Sam infiltrate the dark multi-level processing facility. Spotting Gail bound to a chair in a central holding bay with heavily armed guards, Andy initiates a tactical distraction, drawing primary gunfire, while Sam flanks from the upper catwalks. A chaotic gunfight erupts. Andy maneuvers under suppressive fire, disarming the primary captor in an intense physical struggle on the concrete floor, just as Sam and tactical backup neutralize the remaining cartel enforcers, securing Gail alive. Act 4. Survival and Shocking Revelations. With Gail safely rescued and the syndicate broken, Division 15 breathes a sigh of relief as their second year officially comes to a close. The rookies stand transformed, no longer green trainees but deeply bonded, battle-tested veterans of the street. At the local officer pub, the squad raises a toast to survival. However, as Andy and Sam share a private, long-simmering moment away from the crowd. Shifting romantic loyalties set up explosive consequences for Season 3. Welcome to my channel movies and TV show recap. Subscribe, thank goodness for you. Welcome to my channel movies and TV show recap. Episode recap. Rookie Blue, Season 3, Episode 1, Me, Myself and I. Act 1, A New Beginning. Season 3 kicks off 3 months after the intense events of the Season 2 finale. Andy McNally returns to Division 15 following her suspension, eager to prove her readiness and rebuild her reputation. However, the precinct is instantly thrown into high gear when a routine traffic stop transforms into a high-stakes investigation involving a rogue former police officer turned vigilante. Meanwhile, team dynamics shift dramatically as new rivalries surface, forcing the rookies to quickly adapt to higher stakes and tougher street protocols. Act 2, The Rogue Hunt. Andy pairs up with seasoned detective Nick Collins to track down the primary suspect across a series of downtown commercial sites. Digging into the suspect's background, Andy uncovers evidence that the target is executing a calculated retaliation against a dangerous local syndicate. As Division 15 coordinates a multi-block perimeter lock, Dov Epstein and Gail Peck handle tactical street surveillance, monitoring suspect movements as the target closes in on his ultimate objective. Act 3, Industrial Rooftop Standoff. Andy and Nick track the suspect to an under-construction industrial rooftop overlooking the district. Moving stealthily through narrow catwalks with sidearms unholstered, Andy corners the armed vigilante near the ledge just as he targets a syndicate boss below. Relying on precise verbal de-escalation, Andy holds her ground. When the suspect moves to raise his weapon, Andy executes a swift tactical maneuver, tackling him to the rooftop deck and securing him in handcuffs before backup breaches the access door. Act 4, Battle-Tested Loyalty. With the suspect apprehended and the precinct secured, Staff Sergeant Best praises Andy for her decisive action and tactical maturity under pressure. At the local officer pub, the rookies gather over cold beers to toast Andy's return, cementing their unbreakable bond as battle-tested officers ready for the challenges of Season 3. Welcome to my channel movies and TV show recap. Subscribe, thank goodness for you. Welcome to my channel movies and TV show recap. Episode recap. Rookie Blue, Season 3, Episode 2, Class Dismissed. Act 1, High School Under Siege. The shift at Division 15 starts under extreme pressure when a violent disturbance breaks out at a local high school. Rookie Andy McNally and her squad mates respond to an urgent dispatch involving armed teenagers, forcing the precinct to initiate an immediate tactical lockdown across the facility. Upon arrival, Andy and Detective Sam Swarek breach the main hallway, encountering terrified students fleeing, while an armed suspect locks himself inside a second-floor classroom. Act 2, Race Against Time. As Division 15 secures the perimeter, Andy uncovers evidence that the standoff is tied to a wider local youth gang initiation ritual. Working closely with Sam Swarek, Andy tracks down a key student witness hiding in the gymnasium who holds critical details about the suspect's identity and armaments. Meanwhile, rookies Dov Epstein and Gail Peck handle outer perimeter security, intercepting secondary suspects attempting to breach the school's rear exit gates. Act 3, Classroom Standoff. Andy and Sam breach the second-floor hallway, approaching the locked classroom with service weapons at low ready. With the armed teenager threatening extreme violence, Andy relies on rapid verbal de-escalation while quietly maneuvering into position. When the suspect reaches for his weapon's safety, Andy executes a swift tactical flank maneuver. She tackles the suspect to the linoleum floor, disarming him in a brief physical struggle just as backup units breach the room to secure the hostages. Act 4, Lessons Learned. With the school secured and the suspects in custody, Division 15 closes another intense case. Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy for her sharp composure and decisive tactical response under extreme psychological strain. At the local pub, the rookie squad gathers over cold beers to decompress, reflecting on the heavy responsibilities of protecting their community and raising a toast to their shared bond. Welcome to my channel movies and TV show recap. Subscribe, thank goodness for you. Welcome to my channel movies and TV show recap. Episode recap. Rookie Blue, Season 3, Episode 3, Girls' Night Out. Act 1, Off-Duty Chaos. What starts as a relaxing off-duty evening for officers Andy McNally, Tracy Nash, and Gail Peck rapidly devolves into a life-and-death crisis. While attending a crowded downtown lounge, Andy notices a suspicious interaction between a young woman and an aggressive patron. Before the officers can intervene quietly, the suspect forces the woman into an unmarked vehicle outside, turning a casual night out into an urgent off-duty rescue operation. Act 2, Tactical Pursuits. Without immediate backup or standard patrol equipment, Andy, Tracy, and Gail coordinate a high-stakes street pursuit. Tracy contacts Division 15 to dispatch nearby cruisers, while Andy and Gail track the suspect vehicle on foot through dense urban alleys. Meanwhile, rookies Dove Epstein and Chris Diaz respond to the broadcast, sweeping adjacent commercial blocks to cut off the suspect's primary escape routes before he exits the district. Act 3, Multi-story garage standoff. Andy corners the armed suspect inside a dimly lit multi-story parking garage on the district's edge. Trapped with his captive near the ledge, the suspect draws a concealed firearm, threatening extreme violence if officers approach. Relying on precise verbal de-escalation, Andy holds her ground. As Gail creates a tactical distraction from the upper ramp, Andy executes a swift flank maneuver. She tackles the armed suspect to the concrete floor, disarming him in an intense physical struggle just as Dove and patrol units storm the level. Act 4, Unbreakable Bonds. With the victim safely rescued and the suspect in cuffs, Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy, Tracy, and Gail for their extraordinary instincts and quick tactical response while off duty. At the local pub, the rookie squad gathers over cold drinks to celebrate another successful save, reflecting on the constant vigilance required of police officers and raising a glass to their unbreakable sisterhood. Welcome to my channel movies and TV show recap. Subscribe, thank goodness for you. Welcome to my channel movies and TV show recap. Episode recap. Rookie Blue, Season 3, Episode 4, The Rules. Act 1, High-Stakes Betrayal. The shift at Division 15 explodes into intense turmoil when a simple traffic stop uncovers a massive illegal arms smuggling ring operating in the heart of the city. Rookie Andy McNally and Detective Luke Callahan lead the initial response, discovering heavily modified weapons concealed inside a commercial transport truck. Meanwhile, rookies Dove Epstein and Gail Peck clear surrounding traffic, securing the perimeter as precinct investigators trace the weapons back to a violent local syndicate. Act 2, Tactical Infiltration. As Division 15 maps out the syndicate's distribution network, Andy uncovers evidence that an insider key witness is hiding inside a multi-level industrial processing hub near the docks. Working alongside Detective Sam Swarrick, Andy moves to extract the witness before gang enforcers reach him. However, the operation stalls when the witness refuses to cooperate, forcing Andy and Sam to navigate a high-risk extraction while dodging armed syndicate scouts sweeping the building. Act 3, Processing Hub Breach. Andy and Sam locate the witness on the third-floor catwalks of the dusty industrial complex. Just as they initiate the escort, a squad of armed gang enforcers breaches the upper levels, opening fire across the steel gantries. Executing a rapid tactical cover maneuver, Andy draws enemy fire, allowing Sam to flank. When the lead gunman corners them near an open freight elevator shaft, Andy executes a swift physical tackle, disarming him on the metal floor and securing the area as SWAT backup arrives. Act 4. Unbreakable resilience. With the arms ring dismantled and the witness in protective custody, Division 15 celebrates another major victory on the streets. Staff Sergeant Best praises Andy for her quick tactical execution and composure under heavy fire. At the local pub, the rookie squad gathers over cold beers to decompress, reflecting on the constant hazards of duty and celebrating the tight-knit trust that keeps them safe. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Subscribe, thank goodness for you. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Episode Recap, Rookie Blue, Season 3, Episode 5, Messing with Shadows. Act 1, High Stakes Drive-By. The shift at Division 15 escalates into immediate crisis when a violent drive-by shooting erupts outside a busy community center. Rookie Andy McNally and Detective Sam Swarek respond to the scene, discovering that a high-ranking local gang leader was targeted amidst a crowd of innocent bystanders. With local tensions threatening to boil over into an all-out street war, Staff Sergeant Best orders a full district sweep to apprehend the shooter before retaliatory violence hits the neighborhood. Act 2. Shadowy Suspects. As Division 15 investigates the shooting, Andy uncovers CCTV footage, revealing a masked gunman escaping in an unregistered sports sedan. Working alongside rookies Dov Epstein and Gail Peck, the squad traces the vehicle's registration to a covert chop shop operating inside an industrial district. Tensions escalate when Andy discovers that the primary suspect is tied to an ongoing undercover narcotics operation, putting Division 15 at direct odds with federal investigators. Act 3. Industrial Shop Breach. Andy and Sam track the suspect to the dimly lit auto repair facility. Moving stealthily through rows of dismantled vehicles with sidearms unholstered, Andy spots the armed suspect attempting to destroy forensic evidence. When the gunman reaches for a concealed firearm, Andy executes a rapid tactical flank maneuver. She tackles the suspect onto the oil-stained concrete floor, disarming him in a fierce physical struggle just as Sam and tactical backup secure the perimeter. Act 4. Unwavering Resolve. With the gunman in custody and the gang war successfully averted, Staff Sergeant Best praises Andy for her quick tactical execution under extreme pressure. At the local pub, the rookie squad gathers over cold beers to decompress, reflecting on the complex shadows of street justice and celebrating the unbreakable trust that keeps them safe. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Subscribe, thank goodness for you. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Episode Recap, Rookie Blue, Season 3, Episode 6, Coming Home. Act 1, Crisis at the Fairgrounds. The shift at Division 15 escalates into immediate panic when a localized explosion rocks a crowded neighborhood carnival. Rookie Andy McNally and Detective Luke Callahan are among the first on the scene, encountering mass confusion as civilians flee the smoking debris of a major midway display. With suspicions pointing toward an intentional attack, Staff Sergeant Best issues a precinct-wide emergency containment protocol, tasking the rookies with sweeping the surrounding blocks for secondary incendiary devices. Act 2. The Sabotage Investigation. As Division 15 secures the perimeter, Andy recovers unexploded chemical components tucked behind an abandoned gaming booth, confirming the blast was deliberate sabotage. Working alongside rookies Dov Epstein and Gail Peck, the squad analyzes local security feeds, identifying a disgruntled former pyrotechnics technician as the primary suspect. Tensions rise when Andy uncovers that the suspect is hiding in a heavily congested underground transit tunnel beneath the carnival grounds, threatening to trigger a secondary detonation. Act 3. Subterranean Standoff. Andy and Detective Sam Swarek breach the dark, damp transit maintenance tunnels. Moving stealthily along the steel rails with sidearms unholstered, Andy spots the suspect holding a manual detonator near a central power relay junction. Relying on rapid verbal de-escalation, Andy holds her position to distract the suspect. When the perpetrator moves his thumb over the trigger switch, Andy executes a swift tactical flank. She tackles the suspect to the gravel bed, disarming him in an intense physical struggle to secure the detonator. Act 4. Brotherhood restored. With the secondary device safely disarmed and the suspect in custody, Division 15 breathes a sigh of relief. Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy for her sharp composure and decisive tactical execution under extreme pressure. At the local pub, the rookie squad gathers over cold beers to decompress, reflecting on the thin line between chaos and order and celebrating the tight-knit trust that keeps them safe. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Subscribe, thank goodness for you. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Episode Recap, Rookie Blue, Season 3, Episode 7, Leap of Faith. Act 1, Precinct Lockdown. The shift at Division 15 kicks off in high gear when a routine transport of a high-profile narcotics informant goes horribly wrong. While escorting the witness through the station basement, an armed hit squad ambushes the transfer team, forcing Staff Sergeant Best to put the entire precinct on immediate lockdown. Rookie Andy McNally and Detective Sam Swarek secure the holding cells, cutting off primary access corridors to protect the witness from targeted execution. Act 2. Tactical Infiltration. With the precinct perimeter sealed, the attackers exploit maintenance shafts to move between floors. Working alongside rookies Dove Epstein and Gail Peck, Andy tracks the hit squad's movements through internal CCTV monitors, uncovering evidence that an external radio jammer is blocking all distress signals. Andy and Sam decide to breach the central ventilation control hub to restore communications and direct incoming tactical backup to the exact threat locations. Act 3. Basement Corridor Standoff. Andy and Sam intercept two heavily armed gunmen inside the dark, steam-filled basement mechanical room. As rifle fire echoes through the concrete corridor, Andy uses steam valves to create a thermal smoke screen, blinding the attackers. Executing a rapid flank maneuver, Andy tackles the lead gunman into a metal supply rack, disarming him in a violent struggle, while Sam neutralizes the secondary shooter, securing the basement sector. Act 4. Survival and Solidarity. With the hit squad eliminated and the lockdown lifted, Division 15 restores order. Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy for her tactical ingenuity and fearless execution under extreme pressure. At the local pub, the rookie crew gathers over cold beers to toast their survival, celebrating the unbreakable bond that keeps them alive on the front lines. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Subscribe, thank goodness for you. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Episode Recap, Rookie Blue, Season 3, Episode 8, The Friendly Skies. Act 1, Mid-Flight Crisis. The shift at Division 15 kicks off with high-stakes urgency when a routine domestic flight landing at the local airport is flagged for an active hostage crisis. Rookie Andy McNally and Detective Luke Callahan lead the immediate response squad, arriving at the tarmac just as the commercial aircraft rolls to a halt under police escort. With an armed suspect holding passengers inside the cabin, Staff Sergeant Best coordinates a full tactical perimeter around the airfield to cut off escape routes. Act 2. Tarmac Infiltration. As Division 15 establishes tactical positioning, Andy uncovers critical flight manifest data revealing the suspect is a wanted fugitive attempting to evade extradition. Working alongside rookies Dove Epstein and Gail Peck, Andy tracks security camera feeds to locate an open service hatch beneath the aircraft belly. Andy and Detective Sam Swarek move to breach the lower cargo hold, planning a quiet extraction before the suspect realizes law enforcement has boarded the plane. Act 3. Cabin Breach and Standoff. Andy and Sam breach the main passenger cabin from the rear galley, service pistols drawn. The suspect panics, grabbing a flight attendant as a human shield near the forward exit door, while threatening to detonate a concealed explosive charge. Relying on rapid verbal de-escalation, Andy holds her position to distract the gunman. When the suspect shifts his weight, Andy executes a swift tactical flank maneuver. She tackles the suspect into the seating aisle, disarming him in a violent struggle as backup secures the passengers. Act 4. Mission accomplished. With the suspect in cuffs and all passengers safely evacuated, Division 15 closes another intense operation. Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy for her sharp composure and decisive tactical response under high-pressure conditions. At the local pub, the rookie crew gathers over cold beers to decompress, celebrating their successful tactical breach and raising a glass to their unwavering teamwork. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Subscribe, thank goodness for you. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Episode Recap, Rookie Blue, Season 3, Episode 9, Out of Time. Act 1, Vanished Without a Trace. The shift at Division 15 explodes into absolute panic when Officer Gail Peck disappears after an undercover sting operation goes horribly wrong. With time running out, Staff Sergeant Best activates a high-alert precinct lockdown, launching a massive citywide search to locate Gail before the abductor moves her outside the district. Rookie Andy McNally and Detective Sam Swarek take charge of the field investigation, sweeping Gail's last known locations while fighting off mounting dread. Act 2, Race Against the Clock. As Division 15 analyzes surveillance feeds, Andy uncovers a suspicious delivery van linked to a serial abductor operating under the radar. Working alongside Dove Epstein and Chris Diaz, the team traces encrypted mobile signals to an abandoned industrial warehouse complex on the city's outskirts. Realizing SWAT backup is minutes away but Gail's life is in immediate jeopardy, Andy and Sam decide to breach the location without waiting for reinforcements. Act 3, Warehouse Breach and Rescue. Andy and Sam force entry into the dim, cavernous warehouse. Moving through dark corridors with service weapons drawn, Andy discovers a concealed basement door leading to a reinforced soundproof cell, where a bound Gail is held hostage. Just as the armed kidnapper moves to strike, Andy executes a rapid flank maneuver. She tackles the suspect onto the concrete floor, disarming him in a violent physical struggle, while Sam secures the perimeter and unties a shaken Gail. Act 4, Brotherhood Restored. With the kidnapper in custody and Gail safe, Division 15 breathes a massive sigh of relief. Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy for her unwavering determination and decisive tactical action under extreme emotional strain. At the local pub, the rookie squad gathers over cold drinks, holding an emotional reunion and celebrating the unbreakable bond that keeps them alive on the front lines. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Subscribe, thank goodness for you. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Episode Recap, Rookie Blue, Season 3, Episode 10, Cold Comfort. Act 1, Cold Case resurfaces. The aftermath of Gail Peck's traumatic abduction continues to echo through Division 15, leaving the squad on edge. When a routine traffic stop uncovers a hidden stash of military-grade explosives inside a stolen SUV, Staff Sergeant Best immediately escalates the threat, tying the contraband to an elusive local militia group. Rookie Andy McNally and Detective Sam Swarek lead the initial field sweep, tracking the vehicle's encrypted satellite navigation logs to pinpoint the syndicate's primary staging warehouse. Act 2, Tactical Convergence. As Division 15 coordinates a multi-unit perimeter around the industrial sector, Andy uncovers evidence that the militia is planning a coordinated strike on a municipal infrastructure hub. Working alongside rookies Dove Epstein and Chris Diaz, the team clears neighboring commercial buildings to prevent civilian casualties. Tensions rise as Sam and Andy move to breach the warehouse before the suspects arm the explosive detonators inside. Act 3, Staging Warehouse Breach. Andy and Sam breach the heavy steel access doors of the industrial hub, sidearms unholstered. Moving stealthily through dimly lit storage bays, Andy spots two armed suspects securing explosive canisters into transport crates. When the lead suspect draws a concealed firearm, Andy executes a rapid tactical flank maneuver. She tackles the suspect onto the concrete floor, disarming him in a violent physical struggle, while Sam neutralizes the second gunman, securing the explosive cargo before backup arrives. Act 4. Resilient Spirit. With the explosives seized and the militia ring dismantled, Division 15 secures a major tactical victory. Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy for her sharp composure and decisive field execution under intense psychological strain. At the local pub, the rookie squad gathers over cold beers to decompress, celebrating their collective resilience and reinforcing the tight-knit bond that keeps them safe on the front lines. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Subscribe, thank goodness for you. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Episode Recap, Rookie Blue, Season 3, Episode 11, Nite in Shining Armour. Act 1, a high-stakes heist. The shift at Division 15 kicks into overdrive when a violent armored car heist erupts in a busy commercial district. Armed robbers hit the transport truck, seizing millions in negotiable bearer bonds and leaving a guard critically wounded. Rookie Andy McNally and Detective Luke Callahan arrive first on the scene, securing the perimeter as Staff Sergeant Best coordinates an all-units dragnet to intercept the fleeing suspects before they melt into downtown traffic. Act 2. Tracking the Syndicate. As investigators analyze street traffic cameras, Andy uncovers evidence linking the heist to an organized criminal syndicate operating out of a local scrap metal yard. Working alongside rookies Dov Epstein and Gail Peck, the squad traces the getaway vehicle's GPS signal to a sprawling industrial recycling facility on the city outskirts. Tensions mount as Detective Sam Swarek and Andy move to breach the complex, suspecting the robbers are preparing to execute their inside informant to erase all tracks. Act 3. Scrapyard Ambush. Andy and Sam force entry into the dim towering scrapyard, sidearms at low ready. Moving cautiously between stacks of crushed vehicles, Andy spots the primary suspect pointing a gun at the bound informant near a heavy industrial shredder. Executing a swift tactical flank, Andy draws the gunman's fire while Sam creates a distraction. When the suspect moves to engage, Andy tackles him onto the dusty concrete deck, forcing the weapon from his grip and securing the suspect before backup arrives. Act 4. Duty Above All. With the bearer bonds recovered and the heist ring dismantled, Division 15 celebrates another major victory. Staff Sergeant Best praises Andy for her decisive action and tactical maturity under high-stress conditions. At the local pub, the rookie squad gathers over cold beers to decompress, reflecting on the thin line between danger and duty and raising a toast to their unwavering teamwork. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Subscribe, thank goodness for you. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Episode Recap, Rookie Blue, Season 3, Episode 12, Everyman. Act 1, High-Stakes Hostage Crisis. The shift at Division 15 escalates into immediate chaos when an armed gunman takes multiple civilians hostage inside a crowded downtown financial center. The suspect, a former security guard pushed to desperation, threatens to detonate a series of pipe bombs unless his demands are met within the hour. Rookie Andy McNally and Detective Sam Swarek lead the initial tactical breach team, securing the main lobby, while Staff Sergeant Best coordinates hostage negotiations from the mobile command unit outside. Act 2. Tactical Infiltration. As negotiations stall, Andy uncovers a secondary access route through an underground service shaft. Working alongside rookies Dov Epstein and Gail Peck, the squad maps the building's internal layout, discovering the gunman has wired primary exit doors with motion triggers. With the clock ticking down, Andy and Sam advance stealthily through the air ducts to reach the second-floor trading room, aiming to neutralize the explosive threat before the suspect panics. Act 3. Trading Floor Standoff. Andy and Sam breach the upper trading floor balcony, sidearms at low ready. Cornered near the central vault, the gunman raises a remote detonator, threatening to trigger the charges if officers advance. Relying on precise verbal de-escalation, Andy holds her ground to draw the suspect's focus. When the gunman shifts his grip, Andy executes a rapid tactical flank. She tackles him onto the carpeted floor, forcing the detonator from his hand while Sam disarms the secondary charges. Act 4. Duty and Resilience. With the hostages freed and the explosives disarmed, Division 15 restores order. Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy for her extraordinary composure and decisive tactical execution under severe pressure. At the local pub, the rookie squad gathers over cold beers to decompress, reflecting on the thin line between survival and disaster while celebrating their unbreakable bond. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Subscribe, thank goodness for you. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Episode Recap, Rookie Blue, Season 3, Episode 13, I Never. Act 1, Season Finale Showdown. The explosive Season 3 finale hits Division 15 with life-altering stakes when a violent undercover sting turns into a bloody ambushed nightmare. As Detective Sam Swarek goes dark inside a dangerous organized crime syndicate, Officer Andy McNally discovers that Sam's identity has been compromised, leaving him targeted for immediate execution. Ignoring standard protocol, Andy and Detective Luke Callaghan launch an off-the-books extraction mission to locate Sam before the syndicate leadership erases all evidence. Act 2. Race Against Time. As Division 15 coordinates a precinct-wide emergency response, Andy traces Sam's encrypted burner phone signal to a deserted waterfront shipping facility. Working alongside rookies Dov Epstein, Gail Peck, and Chris Diaz, the squad sets up a tactical perimeter, clearing surrounding docks to cut off syndicate escape routes. With heavily armed enforcers patrolling the docks, Andy and Luke breach the primary warehouse, stepping directly into a high-stakes crossfire. Act 3. Waterfront Warehouse Breach. Andy and Luke force entry into the cavernous, shadowed warehouse. Moving stealthily through rows of shipping containers with sidearms unholstered, Andy spots an armed syndicate lieutenant holding Sam at gunpoint near the water's edge. Executing a rapid tactical flank maneuver, Andy draws the gunman's fire. She tackles the suspect onto the wooden pier, forcing the weapon loose in a fierce physical struggle, while Luke neutralizes secondary shooters, successfully rescuing a wounded Sam. Act 4. Life-changing crossroad. With the syndicate dismantled and Sam rushed to medical care, Division 15 gathers to absorb the aftermath of a grueling season. Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy for her extraordinary bravery and tactical brilliance under extreme pressure. However, the shift ends with a shocking turn. Andy makes a pivotal personal decision to embark on a 6-month undercover task force assignment alongside Nick Collins, leaving Division 15 behind and setting up a dramatic new chapter for Season 4. Welcome to my channel Movies and TV Show Recap. Subscribe, thank goodness for you.